Hi everyone, welcome back to the VAK Indian History Podcast. I'm Utkarsh.
Namaste, Swagatam, welcome, Sumedha.
And today we actually have a very interesting topic for you. We are
Don't
going, we,
always, Utkarsh, always have
yes, but
interesting.
this is particularly interesting. We will go to the
Okay,
realms of what some would consider fantasy, but we'll tell you maybe some of what you consider fantasy isn't fantasy. And we're going to talk about dragons. We're going to talk about snakes. I asked, we had a prior conversation. I asked whether we're going to talk about snake people, but apparently we are not. So, all
no,
right-wing conspiracy nuts who think snake people run the world, this will not confirm your biases. But
no.
no, but there's okay. I want to start it here actually. I went to a place that I've been asking you to come and visit for a very long time called Angkor Wat
Yes, yes,
2, 3 years ago.
yes,
And all over Cambodia, what I saw everywhere were these nags, which are
yes.
kind of like snake people in a way, if you think about it.
No,
So,
they're
anyways, I have
not. No, they're not.
they look like it at least. They look like it. But anyway, let me ask three questions here, and you
Yes.
can take it in whichever way. Who are nags, and how are they different from snakes? And in fact, you told me something about nag, which we also use for cobra. The
Hmm,
cobra being different from a snake. So there's this whole
hmm,
confusion here that I have, which I have not resolved as waiting for this conversation. And
hmm.
how does it link to Indian history? All of that, right? There's mentions of this all over Indian history, historical
Yes.
things. Number one. Number two, the link with dragons, because what you told me last time in last week's episode, for those of you who have not seen it, Year of the Dragon, right? In the Chinese calendar.
Yes.
Apparently the dragon was not originally a dinosaur, as what some people think, that people found dinosaur bones and they thought it was dragons. Apparently the dragon links back to this Nag.
Hmm.
So that was the second question I had for you. And the third question I had for you is what is the significance of Nag, snake in general when it comes to the Indian tradition? So those are the three questions. You can start wherever you feel
Hmm.
appropriate.
Yeah, good, very good questions. But you've forgotten the European angle, Utkarsh. There
Which
is
one?
also a very strong European angle. For example, England. Its patron saint is Saint George. What did Saint George do? He killed a dragon. So England
Oh.
is basically it's based on the legend of the dragon killer.
Actually, one of my favorite car brands, Alfa Romeo, if you see their logo,
Mm.
it has a man eating snake in it.
A man eating snake. Okay. So there the dragons are winning.
I don't know. Now, because you said Europe and snake, immediately I thought of the Alfa Romeo logo. I'll probably pop it up here.
Okay.
So in
Yeah.
case people
Okay.
haven't seen it.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
But okay. So yeah, there we can go that direction as well.
Yes, I think we'll cover all of it. So I don't know. The Indian Nagas, the Chinese dragons, the European dragons, how do they all come together? And can we trace back this whole these all these concepts to
Hmm.
some very long back past? Yeah, actually we can, but as we go further back into the past, evidence becomes a little different,
Hmm.
difficult and different.
Hmm.
So we have
Hmm.
to rely on stories, etc. when we go back thousands of years. But
Hmm.
if we remain, say, in the 2000, 3000 years back
Hmm.
kind of scope, then we also have some kind of hard evidence, sculptures, paintings, etc. So I'll bring all of
Hmm.
those into
Yeah.
play. And we'll try and take a look at the world of dragons, not just Indian, but the world of
Hmm.
dragons this time.
Okay. Okay.
I want to start with the original dragon slayer, on whom possibly all the dragon slaying knights and the Norse myths of Thor and the snake. Who was that? The He has a very long, unpronounceable name, which I will try after a while. But all of these are based on this original myth, and this original myth comes from the Rig Veda. But where else? Book one of the Rig Veda has the king of the gods, Indra, killing Vritra. And Vritra is this serpent, snake, nag, ahi. There are many different names given to it. So, what had Vritra done to merit being having his head chopped off? He had actually curled himself around all the waters, the cosmic waters of the world, and the entire world was going thirsty. So Indra killed this Nag, killed Vritra, And from there, then, all the waters could emerge and the world became fertile and prosperous and beautiful again. So here you have a dragon slayer who is slaying this evil dragon who has kept to himself something precious which belongs to the entire world. This Indra and Vritra story, let's take a look at a picture to start with. No, not this one, not this one. So this
Mm-hmm.
is, can you see? Yeah, this is Indra. He is killing Vritra, who is
Hmm.
a serpentine, snake-like creature. With what?
Uh,
This creature could not be killed by anything except something very special. So this is a thunderbolt made from the bones of a very, very powerful rishi sage. His name was Dadichi. So the bones of Dadichi were fashioned into this thunderbolt and thus was Vritra. You can see that waters are surrounding Vritra and he is possibly sitting on all the source of the waters and Indra is on his Airavat. This is the original myth. Okay. This is the original story from which so many others have come, and we'll
okay.
talk of them a little later.
Hmm.
So now, who was Vritra? Vritra is not just a serpentine or nag-like, dragon-like creature. It's a whole race of these creatures. This was a particular one which was killed. They are physically gigantic. Their shape is like a serpent. They are a strong, magical race. And in the Indian context, they are the sons of Danu. And Danu is the wife of Kashyap. Who is Kashyap? Kashyap is that mythical progenitor from whom everyone comes. Whether it be the Dev or the Danav or the Manushya or everyone, they all are from the lineage of Kashyap and one of his wives. So this was the Vritras are the son of Kashyap and Tanu. They are also called Ahi. Ahi is again, all these denote a creature which is serpentine or snake-like, which is large, which lives underground, somewhere subterranean, is very, very closely associated with the earth and its treasures. And they always guard some precious object, guarding all the water of the world. And there are so many other dragons that they are always there, whenever a hero goes on a quest. To finally end that quest, definitely has to slay a dragon. Dragons are always guarding something really, really precious. This Rig Vedic story is repeated in so many of the Brahmanas, Aittray Brahman, Shatpat Brahman, so many of the Purans, etc., etc. There are two Purans, Kalika Puran and the Yogini Tantra Puran, which focus very much on all the stories, legends, and all the facts which are related to Nagas. And I'll be telling you many of those, and many of those will be coming from the Kalika Puran and from the Yogini Tantra.
So I'm seeing clearly that the archetype of the dragon, I'm seeing clearly the origin of
Yes,
the archetype of the dragon hiding the treasure in the hidden layer. That's pretty clear.
yes,
But
yes.
okay, let me ask you a question, which I know that it's the kind of question is it's not easy to answer, or it's not because the framing is a difficult one, but let me ask it anyway. Of course, we're talking itihas here, or not using the dirty word mythology, which
Hmm.
indicates fantasy and all that.
Yeah.
But okay, it's a difficult question because you're gonna then we can get into a entire philosophical discussion of what is real and what is not. But taking the taking the question in the modern, unfortunately, relatively Western spirit through which a lot of us operate. Who are these? Firstly, are they anthropomorphic? Are they real? Did they exist? What is the thinking? What is your
Okay,
thinking on
so
this?
remember, Utkarsh, that for us
Yeah.
in the Indian way of thinking, there are layers to every truth. So there are
Hmm.
some things which are real in the mortal world. They also operate as symbols. So these
Hmm. Hmm.
Nagas, they have a historical presence. I will tell you about the historical presence of the real Nagas, who were people like
Okay.
us. And these
Okay.
are symbolically connected to all the Naga stories and all these different Purans. So
Okay.
some of
Okay.
it, yes, it does go. It, as you started off saying, it treads a thin line between fantasy and history. But there is an
Hmm.
angle of history also over here, and there is an
Okay.
angle of conveying stories, certain symbolic ideas which need to be conveyed. So these, the people, the Naga people have obviously been very close to the earth. They were probably the very autochthonous inhabitants of most of the parts of the earth, and they have been in conflict as well as cooperation with others. I've talked to you only about Indra the Dragon Slayer, but
Hmm.
there is also there are also dragons who are positive. There are Nagas who are symbols of prosperity. So in the
Hmm.
Indian pantheon and in the Chinese pantheon, dragons are not evil. In the European pantheon, they are evil. They
Hmm.
always
Hmm.
have to be killed. Now, since you
Hmm.
have been talking about, you asked me about Cambodia and about Angkor Wat.
Hmm.
Would you like me to deal with the important stories about Nagas from the Indian Itihas and Puran point of
Yes.
view
Yeah.
first
Yeah.
and
Let's
then
do
go
that.
to Cambodia?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, what are the very important things about important facts about Nagas in the Indian pantheon? First of all, the entire earth on which we are situated, located, is supported only by Adi Shesh. That is the Sheshnag, that is the foundational layer of the earth. There is a thousand-headed cosmic serpent or Adi Shesh, Sheshnag, who upholds all of the earth. Remember all the iconography of Lord Vishnu, Utkarsh? He is lying down and he has this Sheshnag behind him, a five-headed Sheshnag.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that
Actually,
is
now that you
the,
mention it, the iconography, it's not just Vishnu. Obviously, Shiv as well has there's a lot of
yes,
snakes in Indian iconography.
yes,
Now that you mention it.
yes. And Shivji is obviously, somebody who is, he's called Pashupati Nath. So he controls all the beasts in entire creation. And serpents or nags are one of those beasts. They are coiled
Okay.
around his neck,
So
they
why
are
are
coiled around
so
his hand.
why are snakes so okay, firstly, are this it's basically Nags, and if we can talk the differentiation that you wanted to potentially make. Why are they so prominent in Indian or Hindu iconography? Why are they such an
Yes.
important symbol?
Yeah. So Nagas are seen as symbols of the earth itself. They
Okay.
emerge from the earth, they give you all the what can I say, treasures which lie inside the earth. So let me tell you of a little story which will illustrate this. You know Kuber, the half brother of
Yep.
Ravan of Sri Lanka,
Yes.
the one who Ravan actually deposed and threw out. So why was Kuber so rich? Because he had these gem spitting magical mongooses. What did these mongooses do? They used to go down the earth and take away the treasures of the Nagas, all those gems, and bring it up for Kuber. This is a kind of symbol, allegory, metaphor for all the prosperity that the earth has to offer you. Be it crops, be it mines, be it minerals, be it everything else, it's an allegory for that. It is for all the earthly treasures. It is the Nagas who are its guardians. It is the Nagas who give it to you. Who, if you propitiate them, then they give you this prosperity. They are also symbols of fertility, prosperity, riches, etc. Everything. So remember, there are two sides. One is the evil dragon who has to be slain by Indra, and the other is the
Hmm.
Nagas who have to be
Hmm.
propitiated. They are to be prayed to. They are very
Hmm.
much harbingers of prosperity. So
Okay.
they represent the earth. They also represent water bodies, and rain, fertility, prosperity, all those things without which creation on earth would be dead. That is why, as representatives of all these things, Nagas are so important and so ubiquitous, whether it be Vishnuji or whether it be Shivji. Nagas are everywhere. Keshnag is very much everywhere. And they have a few enemies. Who are the enemies? So one is, of course, Yakshas led by Kuber are the enemies. Then you have Garud.
Hmm.
Garud, the divine eagle, is also
Yeah.
an enemy of. the Nagas. Utkarsh, can you see the complex interplay over here? Because Vishnuji is also associated strongly with
Yes, I was going to ask
Sheshnag.
that question.
Yeah,
Yes.
associated strongly with Sheshnag, associated strongly with Garud, but the two of them are enemies forever. So
Hmm.
this is what is called a kind of attempt to harmonize all the different forces which are there in the world. Good, bad, you need all of them, and you need all of
Hmm.
them to be harmonized. So that's the idea, and you'll find this constantly in our iconography, in our stories, in our approach. So the approach is never ever hostility, conflict, and never-ending war. It is always a kind of harmonious balance.
Hmm.
So there you see Garud and Sheshnag also exist together. Utkarsh, I want to show, Nagas are also a symbol of eternity, of cosmic time in the Hindu iconography
Hmm.
and Hindu pantheons. So I want to show you a few pictures. I'm not going to show you all these from the internet because of a very particular problem. So I want to talk about the iconography of the serpent eating its own tail.
Famous
Have
one.
you seen that? Yeah, it's
Of
very
course.
famous.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you have seen it because it's called the Ouroboros in Greece, and it's very, very famous as the Ouroboros. So you try Googling this or try looking for any images, you will only get images of that Ouroboros. But the
Correct.
Indian serpent eating its own tail is not the Ouroboros. There are very, very particular ways of showing it. And
Hmm.
well, this is not too bad.
Hmm.
This is a book by Kapila Vatsyayan, one of the foremost Indian art historians, and she
Hmm. Hmm.
studied Indian iconography. And and I'll show you another one. These are from the first century, and this one is from the Badami caves. This is second century. Can you see it? Can you see so many different serpents
Yeah.
all coiled around each other?
Hmm. What is the photo on on the right side? Top?
This one,
Not the, no, other one, other side. Huh. It's like a concentric circles. And what? Who's in the middle?
that's the serpent. That's the one I
No,
want to
no,
show you.
I can't see the head properly.
Yeah. So you mean this one?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. So this is the one I want to show you. It is concentric circles. That is the body of the serpent. And the thing in the middle, that is
Hmm.
actually a nag. Can you see it now?
I see it better. But it's in one of the caves, is it?
Yes, it's in Badami Caves. Yeah. Can you see it better now,
Okay.
I hope?
Yeah, I can see better now.
Yeah. That is a serpent. Can you see the five heads?
Why does it have five heads?
That is to show its power. Whenever there
Hmm.
are multiple heads, whenever there are, why does
Hmm.
Ravana have 10 heads?
Hmm.
The
Ah,
same
of
reason.
course.
It is to show your
Yeah.
power. So the
Hmm.
three-headed dragon or the
Hmm.
five-headed serpent or the seven-headed serpent, all these are to
Ah.
show the
Hmm.
multiplicity, the multiplication of the power that that serpent has.
Hmm. Hmm.
You had in our in the lineage I was telling you about. So there's Kashyap. Kashyap is the son of Brahma. Brahma is the original creator. So Kashyap marries Kadru and then has this whole line of sons called
Hmm.
Nagas. He also marries somebody called Sursa and then has another line of similar creatures who are called Pannag.
Hmm.
So Pannag is also snake. It's also a similar thing, but it's a
Hmm.
slightly
Hmm.
different prajati or a slightly different species, and it's not as important or famous as the Nagas. They are just there
Hmm.
as kind of poor cousins. So Nagas are simultaneously dangerous. They are cunning, they are hungry, they are volatile, but they are also venerated for how volatile they are. So Kashyap had another wife. Her name was Krodharosha. She was very angry once and she gave rise to this other creature who is called Sursa. Sursa became another wife of Kashyap. And more nags were produced. So the it is in the inherent nature of Nagas to be angry and volatile and dangerous. However, also give you unthinkable prosperity if they want to be nice.
Okay.
You had once asked me a question about different lokas, which we still haven't
Yes.
addressed. And this time we are not going to do it, but Some reference to it, that there is, in our thinking, in Hindu thinking, there is a Swarglok where all the devas live. Then there is
Hmm.
a Bhulok where we live. Then there is a Patal Lok. And there are seven types of Patal. Now, would you understand Patal Lok as that subterranean Narak, that subterranean hell? It's not. It is a kind of subterranean, beautiful, beautiful heaven, which is full of beautiful things, wonderful food, art, architecture, comforts, luxuries, everything. And there are 7 tiers of that inhabited by different types of Nagas. I will not tell you the names. And below all this is what I told you about. That is the Shesh. So, some of the important Nags are, you have the Shesh Nag, you have Vasuki. Do you remember Vasuki? You've gone to Angkor Wat. What was the most important, most beautiful sculpture or relief you saw over there?
Well, one of them was, of course, the churning of the ocean of milk. That's famous.
Exactly. Who was doing the churning? Vasuki. It was Vasuki Nag. So,
Hmm. Okay, okay, okay. Hmm.
yeah. So Sheshnag, Vaspinag, then you have Takshak. There is a very important story of Takshak, when in the Mahabharata, Arjun and Krishna, they burnt up Khandavprast, the whole entire forest, because they wanted to make their beautiful
Hmm.
new Indraprastha over there. All the beings there were very angry and became their enemies for life and cursed them. There were many
Hmm.
consequences. The main one was that the Nagas, that Takshak Nag, who was a guardian over there, decided that they would do a blood feud with the Pandavas and they would kill all of them. So anyway, most of the Pandavas, the whole lineage was killed except for the five Pandavas and Abhimanyu's son, Parikshit. Parikshit became the next king after Yudhishthir.
Hmm.
Takshak went and killed him because of this blood feud. Because Arjun
Hmm.
had killed his family, he killed Arjun's family. So
Hmm.
then his son Janmejay, of course, flew into a royal rage and said he would decimate the entire race of Nagas. So the Nagas faced an existential crisis. So he started this thing called the Sarpa Satra, that is in the Mahabharata. So actually, the
Hmm.
Yajna during which the Mahabharata was told. And if this Sarpa Satra had would finish, then the entire Naga race would be wiped out. How did the
Hmm.
Naga race stop itself from being wiped out? It was because of somebody who we met before, Utkarsh. His name is Astik. We met him in the episode of The Hungry Ghost. He was the
Hmm. Hmm.
one whose mother he goes back to propitiate his mother, Jarat Karu. And remember how we had seen the Chinese connections and the Southeast Asians
Yeah.
connections to
Yeah.
Astik? So Astik goes to Janmejay and does some kind of mediation. Why? Because he is half man, half Naga.
Hmm.
His father is a Brahmin, his mother is a Naga. So he does this negotiation and he manages to calm Janmejay down. And then that Satra is never finished. Therefore, the Nagas still exist. So this is a very famous story in the
So where
Mahabharata.
do they exist today?
Today, don't you know all the Naga tribes
Where?
in the northeast of India, in Assam,
Nagaland.
Nagaland? You have so many Nagas, the Sema Naga. But Utkarsh, that is a very particularly sad story because after in the 19th and 20th centuries, they have been almost 100% converted to Christianity. There are very
So
few patches left
that is
with
the
their,
anticlimactic end to the story. My God.
yeah, yeah. And
Hmm.
the very few of the Nagas are still there who follow their original Hindu religion, and the Vishnupuri Manipuris are direct descendants, as they believe, of Arjun and his Naga son. Let me tell you this story also. Arjun, Arjun, the Pandav hero, he
Hmm.
married the Naga princess Ulupi,
Hmm.
because he once had to go in exile to the northeastern part of India. So, when these heroes go, they tend to pick up a number of wives and have a number of children. So, he married Ulupi. Let's see. Let me show you a cute picture of Ulupi.
Oh, we had cameras back then. I like it.
Yeah, haha. No, not this one. Not this one.
Not a very cute picture.
Is this Ulupi? No, this is Prabhavati Gupta. And okay, so this is a picture of Ulupi. Now, Ulupi
Hmm.
has been shown. This is Amar Chitrakatha Utkarsh, which you must be
Yeah,
familiar with.
it's very, very, it has that entire look.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she has been shown in human form, but look at her headdress. Her
Hmm.
headdress is that of a snake. So this is the
Hmm.
representation of her as a Naga. So she was a
Hmm.
Naga princess that Arjun married. He married yet another Manipuri Naga princess. Her name was
Hmm.
Chitrangada. And he had a son called Babru Vahan. Babru Vahan, again, very much later in life, Arjun and Babru Vahan fought with each other. And Babru Vahan actually killed Arjun. It was
Oh.
Ulupi who had a Sanjeevani stone. And using
Hmm.
that Sanjeevani stone, she brought Arjun back to life again. So
Hmm.
there are today those Vishnupuri Manipuris claim that they are descended from Babru Vahan. So they are direct descendants of Arjun. But
Hmm. Hmm.
otherwise, due to the very misplaced policy of our friend Jawaharlal Nehru, who
Hmm.
cordoned off the entire Northeast and let nobody go there. You know, there those you needed passes to go there, inner line, outer
Hmm.
line pass, except
Yeah.
Barrier Elvin, who was a missionary. So
Hmm.
only missionaries were allowed to go to the Northeast for a good number of years. During the British period, the conversions had already started, and after
Hmm.
1947, they really caught pace. And today, most of the Nagas that you will see, they are all Christians. And a lot of their history has been repudiated, completely repudiated. And
Hmm.
there are also, fanciful colonial theories that no, they actually came from somewhere outside, they don't belong to India, etc. So that is
Hmm.
a very sad part of this
Hmm. Hmm.
particular story. But to go back to what I've told you about the Nagas in the Ramayana, that is Kuber, Sursa, etc. But
Hmm.
Utkarsh, you have seen the Ramayana. Do you remember the time when Sri Ram and Lakshman were uh, in a Nag Pash was thrown on them and they were chained by a number of Nagas,
Yeah, I have a
all
vague
twined
memory.
around them.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
that was the Nagpash. And this Nagpash was something totally outside anybody's experience. So the only creature which could help was, of course, Garud. So Garud
Okay.
had come and he had eaten all the Nagas, and then Sri Ram and
Hmm.
Lakshman
Hmm.
were free again. Now,
Hmm.
this is what is there. I've told you a lot of Puranic and Aitihasic stories right
Hmm.
now.
Hmm.
If we
Hmm.
move on to the historical realm, are all your questions getting answered, Utkarsh, or am I on my own trip?
No, 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 you are. I'm asking you questions when I have further ones. You are answering
Okay,
my questions.
okay, okay. So, in terms of historic dynasties in central India
Hmm.
and also in northeast India, especially in central India, Madhya Pradesh,
Hmm.
today's Madhya Pradesh, there have been historically very, very important Nagvansh dynasties who have also performed the Ashwamedh, that is, they have made themselves the royal possessors of that area. And
Hmm.
the most of important of these dynasties was in between the second and fourth. They were called the Har Shivas. And the Bhar Shivas, Har and Shiva means one who bears the load of Lord Shiv. They were very strong Shivites. So you see the connection with them, Lord Shiva and serpents, Nags again.
Hmm. Hmm.
There were many others. You will not want to know about them, but I do want to tell you about one story. And that is the story of Prabhavati Gupta. So we know of Samudragupta, the great Gupta monarch. We do, right?
Yeah.
And we know of
From his
Chandragupta Vikramaditya, his son, who was
Yes.
also a
Yes.
great monarch, 4th and 5th century CE. And Chandragupta II married the daughter of one of the greatest Naga dynasties then, which was extant. Her name was Kuber Nag. They had a daughter called Prabhavati Gupta. Prabhavati Gupta was married to a Vakataka king. Her brother was Kumar. Now, Prabhavati Gupta's husband died when she was very young, so she became the queen. The
Hmm.
Vakataka dynasty at that time ruled the southern part of India, and At that time, the Guptas ruled the northern part of India. So, the brother-sister duo of Kumar Gupta and Prabhavati Gupta, who was herself a Naga princess,
Uh,
actually ruled all of India in the 4th and 5th century. So this is a very interesting story of a Naga princess. Let me again show you a nice representative picture of Prabhavati Gupta. Now here, I do not see any iconography which will show her to be a Naga princess, not even her headdress.
mm,
There's nothing over there. She is just shown as, a normal Gupta princess sitting with her son. Her son later became the king. Over here, she
mm,
is the regent. So
mm.
if you can see the
What
people
style
who
is this
are,
painting? It looks a little bit
no,
different.
it's just a modern painting. It's by a person called Haldar. I think his
Mm,
name is given over here. It's a modern Asif Kumar Haldar. It's a modern Bengal school.
okay.
No doubt to you it seems familiar.
Why?
You may have seen it because you live in Calcutta.
That'd be too much to remember this. I'll be-
No, you would have seen it somewhere, Utkarsh. You would have seen it
Maybe.
somewhere here and there.
Mm, mm,
So, there have also been other Naga-related dynasties, the Chutus, the Kadambas, etc., etc. Now, there is
mm.
another country which is called the place of the Nagas, the Naga Nadu or Nagadeep. That is Sri Lanka. That's another name for Sri
Oh.
Lanka is Nagadeep. In old Sangam literature or in Pali literature, it's actually called Nagadeep. So,
Mm,
Nag, Yaksha, Rakshas, they used to live there. Nagas occupied a great deal of the territory till the legendary King Vijay came in the 6th century BCE and then he became the king of Sri Lanka. And now I will come to your story. Why did you see so many Naga representations when you went to Cambodia? Okay,
mm.
so we will start. This is the 1st century. There is a stitched boat which leaves from Indian shores and goes towards what was then called Funan. So, Funan is what is today called Cambodia. So, you can think of that stretch of water
Oh,
which that.
Funan is that. There's a mall
Yes.
down my road called Funan Mall. Okay, so it's
Okay.
named after that. When you said Funan, I was like, oh.
See, there's so many connections everywhere. So he
Mm,
goes there and he reaches the shores of what is today Cambodia, and it is ruled by a Naga princess who is called Soma Lue or Niang Nik. So she attacks the ship, but they fight and Continue, that is the name of the Brahmin who has gone. Continue
mm,
wins. So this Naga princess or dragon woman, Yang Nik is actually translated as dragon woman, then marries him and then establishes the square kingdom. So that is why wherever, I mean, I'm sure it is very, very well provided with Nagas. I think Angkor Wat is also very, very well provided with Nagas. So,
yes.
something very sweet, Karsh, Cambodian marriages today commemorate the marriage of Kondinya as well as Soma Lue. The bride wears a long scarf and the groom holds on to it. And that
Mm,
is the tail of the dragon queen, the
mm,
representative of the tail of the dragon. So this is still done in Cambodian marriages today.
mm,
So this is the Naga basis of the entire Khmer kingdom. I would not remember I have mentioned this before that this experiment was done again a month ago. A stitch ship called Condinia went from here to Oman. At that time, it had gone from here to Cambodia, and about a month ago, it went from here to Oman and very successfully so. It was a kind of proof of concept that
mm.
ships can sail in the open sea. My God, that was quite a tongue twister. Stitch ships can sail in the open sea. Okay, so iconography is found all across India, also India, Cambodia, Sri Lanka, everywhere. Uh, there are, that there is Nag Panchami in India. It's a day in which snakes are worshipped, and every Hindu household will leave some milk out for whatever snakes are around to come and drink. And there are temples of Nagas everywhere. And,
Mm,
in so many places, there are small Naga shrines just tucked in anywhere next to a house. Even in today's, world full of high rises, etc., especially in Kerala, there
mm,
are still sacred groves. There will be a sacred grove and there will be a shrine to a Naga over there. So you see how the connection with the earth still remains.
mm, mm,
Uh, any the oldest representation here in India is a 2,000-year-old Nagraj figure with seven heads. Then
mm,
there are also there is a Naga goddess called Manasa. There are many goddesses and gods who are still revered
mm.
and worshipped in today's India. So I've told
Okay.
you something about the uh, s- symbolic stories, the real history, and the Puranic as well as the Aitihasic connections. What were the three questions you had asked me? Have they been answered?
Yes, but I had more questions.
Yes. Yes, tell me.
So, do you know? So, you talked in the previous episode about the Nag becoming the dragon.
Mm,
So, okay, so if I think about it, what is the biggest difference between a Nag and a dragon? Dragon flies and it spits fire.
yeah.
So, is this addition post of the fact, like when something gets taken from one culture to another, it starts getting embellished, or is there anything to do with fire or flying when it comes to Nag? I'm just trying to understand the
Okay.
origin of the
Yeah.
dragon.
Yeah. Okay. So it's a very complex subject, the origin of the Chinese dragon, and how much has the Indian Nag contributed to the formation of the idea of the Chinese dragon. Now,
Mm-hmm.
there are some evidences that perhaps, some kind of figure like a dragon was there in China. But when Buddhism went to China and it went with the Nag, and that Nag was, I think, irresistibly close to the dragon that the two of them were melded together. And the
Mm-hmm.
Nag, remember we discussed this last time also, when we were discussing the Mahasannipat Sutra, which was translated into Chinese, and it is from there that all the names of the
Mm-hmm.
years came. It was there that the Indian Nag, the Hindu Nag, became the Chinese Long. That is the dragon. And
Mm-hmm.
it also became the Tibetan Clue. It is the same process of Buddhism
Okay.
coming to these parts of the country.
Mm-hmm.
In China also, the association of the dragon is with the same things as Indian, as the Hindu one. Cloud,
Mm-hmm.
water, mountains,
Mm-hmm.
and guarding of something very precious. As far as fire is concerned, there is an association with fire in the thunderbolts of Indra. Of course, on the other side, it is not a
Mm-hmm.
dragon which is belching fire, it is Indra who is throwing thunderbolts.
Mm-hmm.
So that association with fire is there. But you see,
Mm-hmm.
what happens here is that the Naga dragon becomes the symbol of imperial power. So naturally, it starts belching fire. As far as flying is concerned, flying was done by Nagas also. Because remember, they are magical creatures.
Mm-hmm.
So they can very
Okay.
well fly. They can do many things. They can also fly. And then this fire instead of being directed at the dragon Naga, now starts coming from the dragon Naga, and he becomes
Mm-hmm.
a symbol of imperial power. So the five-clawed, horned dragon becomes the imperial symbol in China. And I will show you a picture of this and tell you something interesting about the way the Chinese present their own culture.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this, can you see this?
Yes. Are you
This
learning
is,
Chinese on Zoom? Is getting
no,
fluency
I'm
here?
not, not really. But so these are the different pictures, or and you won't be able to read it. So I have read it and I will tell you. Look at this one. See the
Mm.
five claws and the two horns?
Yes.
Now, in this entire introductory article about Chinese dragons, not a word about the Buddhist the Buddhist input, the inputs from India, nothing at all. So the
Mm.
Chinese have this habit of pretending that their inputs cultural inputs from India never existed.
Mm.
They just blank it out. There's absolutely nothing in that article. You go to any Chinese article, you'll find nothing about any connection
Mm.
with India. In fact, all these connections with India are hiding in
Mm.
plain sight. Just
Mm.
that the Chinese just gloss over them or hide them. And I suppose
Mm.
nobody else is interested enough. And
Mm.
nowadays, I think it's become even more imperative because there are a lot of cultural symbols which the
Mm.
Chinese are adopting as their own, which are actually Hindu symbols. And it's important at least give credit where it is due. If you are sharing, if you're taking something, fine, great. Culture is for sharing. Culture is a
Mm.
world heritage.
Mm.
No doubts
Mm.
about that. But it's also good to not appropriate without giving due credit. So this is
Mm.
a very strong Chinese characteristic, and I think they go up in flames if you try to tell them that such and such a thing, or this has
Mm.
come from India and this is
Mm.
Buddhist. They just kind of go up in flames. They pretend it was only Confucius, nobody else, nothing else.
Mm.
That's why they
Mm.
have only Confucius centers. But anyway, the important thing for the Buddhist transmission to China was that Buddha was protected by Nagas. There is a Naga called, I think his name is Muchilind. He
Mm.
protected Buddha by wrapping himself around him when he was born. So, see, from fight, it becomes protection, it
Mm.
becomes power. These are all the
Mm.
benevolent part of the dragon or the Naga. And in China also, since they adopted it as a kind of symbol of imperial power, definitely it became a very powerful and very great symbol of prosperity. So that's why I suppose, the Chinese dragon is ubiquitous everywhere. You'll find it
Yep.
everywhere.
Mm.
But what happens in Europe? In Europe, what happens is that they become very, very negative forces. They become something which needs to be subjugated. And I have the impression it is because they took the dragon or the Nag as a symbol of paganism. And it was the Christian suppression of paganism. For example, look at the story of Saint George. It became very significant and important and took shape in the 12th century. And there were a lot of, in Europe, there were what were called the romance songs
Mm.
and stories, etc., which were very popular about
Right.
knights and their wonderful deeds. But of course, the sources are a little deeper. Go back to the Greeks, etc. When
Mm.
Thor was fighting with the Midgard serpent, yes, his name is Jormungand. Forgive my pronunciation of Norse. So what happens there in the land of Libya? Please note, Utkarsh, that the patron saint of England did all his good deeds in Libya. In
Mm.
the land of Libya, there was this dragon who wanted a person to eat every day or every week or something. So
This sounds
people were
familiar.
sent. Yeah, this is a
Sounds like a
very
familiar
common
story.
trope. Yeah, yeah, this is a common trope. One day it was the turn of the princess of the land, and she was very sad. She didn't want to go. Saint George found her while he was wandering around and asked her why she was crying, and she told him. Then he said, "Okay, I am going to fight the dragon." So when the dragon came to eat her, he fought with the dragon, and then he asked her to give him her girdle. Her girdle will be the belt around the waist. They used to wear it
Mm.
in medieval England. He gave him a girdle, he put it around the dragon's head, neck. And he
Mm.
became the slave of that princess. Wherever she went and whatever she wanted him to do, that dragon.
Mm.
So they took the dragon to the village or the city and said, okay, here it is. And what did St. George say to them? They are supposed to have been about 15,000 in number. If all of
Mm.
you become Christians, I will kill this dragon, otherwise, I will unleash him on you. So obviously, they agreed.
They
They
became.
agreed. So they agreed, and then he lopped off the head of that dragon. And well, in many stories, it ends here. In other stories, it doesn't end here. He marries
Mm.
that princess, and they have a son who is
Mm.
associated or supposed to be Guy of Warwick. Now, Guy of Warwick is a very important romantic figure in medieval England. He was a crusader, obviously, and
Hmm.
he had many adventures. He was a gallant knight, and then in the end he became a hermit, etc. So he had a very adventurous life. All this is tied up with the Christian crusades also. So I think what happened was that all the pagan characteristics of the Naga dragon not
Hmm.
be incorporated into Christian way of thinking, and they had to be suppressed as parts of pagan thinking. Therefore, you have this whole idea of dragons being evil and dragons have to be killed. They are
Hmm.
symbols of non-Christian people.
Hmm. 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 Yeah, that makes a lot
So,
of sense. That's why
yeah,
in the non-Christian country they're good, like in
yeah,
China.
yeah. In China, dragons are the best. In India, Nagas are still worshipped. But
Yeah.
in Christian countries, they have to be killed. And again,
Hmm.
this is the worship of the earth that Christians do not like at all.
Hmm. Hmm.
Although the
Goes back
serpent,
to that. Or yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
what were you saying?
No, goes back to the trope, right? That whether man is a part of nature or nature exists for
Yes,
man's plunder.
exactly, precisely, precisely. So they cannot be seen to be venerating something which is so much a part of nature, like the Naga
Hmm.
or the dragon. Although what
Hmm.
I was saying is that this serpent eating its own tail, which is a symbol of cosmic time, of eternity, etc. In a way, you can say that it does represent the Christian idea of the resurrection of Jesus, right? Because Jesus is
Hmm.
resurrected. So there is no
Hmm.
need for this hatred.
Hmm.
Those ideas are there in Christianity. There is no need for that hatred, but that hatred exists. So, where did these ideas come from? European ideas. I told you about how they thought that it was pagan, but there are whole layers of Greek and Norse epics. You can trace these stories to the Indra Vritra kind of model of dragon slaying. And there are, I've given you the example of Thor who was killing the Midgard serpent. Then there are also Slav heroes who fight with
Hmm.
multi-headed Zmei. Over there, the dragons are called Zmei. Uh, what is the dragon comes from the Greek word draken. That Greek word draken means serpent. So here it is
Ah.
very clearly
What about
the
the Kraken?
Kraken. I don't know what is the Kraken.
Kraken is also a creature.
Mythical,
Yeah,
fantasy,
yeah,
Marvel,
yeah. No, not
DC.
Marvel. Greek.
Okay.
Kraken is a creature. Am I not wrong? Okay, I'm looking it up.
No,
Legendary
let us.
massive sea monster.
Okay. So
Okay.
I don't know whether it will be part of this particular
But
concept
sounds
or not.
similar to Draken. Since you said
Yeah.
Draken, I thought of Kraken. Hmm.
So the for the for European sources, they took only the Indra versus Vritra slaying the monster and then thinking of that monster as a pagan monster which needs to be killed. So you have only a very negative idea of dragons. But Utkarsh, I think Hollywood is trying to reinstate dragons, right? How to train your dragon, in which dragons become
Game of Thrones.
very.
Having dragons is great.
See, I have not seen Game of Thrones. I must be the only person in the world who has not seen it or read it. But see, this is called rehabilitation of
Hmm.
dragons. So the
Yes.
evilness of dragons was forced on them by Christian culture, perhaps going away. Who knows? So this is the
Good.
story of the dragon Naga.
Yeah, it's
I don't know,
interesting.
dragon, Naga, and long and clue serpent. This is the story of. So actually, Utkarsh, there are so many other smaller stories, but I thought I had
Hmm.
to do some
Hmm.
curation because this can only
Yeah.
be for 45 minutes to an hour.
Yeah. Yeah.
We cannot
No,
go
this
on
is good.
forever.
As always, we've learned something new. We now know why dragons in the west are evil and they are good in the east. We
Yes,
now know why dragons are always hiding treasure,
yes, yes.
right?
And
So,
that treasure is deeply symbolic of everything that the
hmm,
earth has to offer us.
yeah.
These are the treasures of the earth.
Hmm.
Dragons are very visually appealing. The way they have been represented, dragons are very visually appealing, flamboyant and striking. So I think they are enjoying something of a resurrection in the public imagination,
Yeah,
given
yeah.
the kind of movies, etc., which come. So,
Hmm.
any other questions any curiosity which is still left unsatisfied?
No, no, this is good. This is good. I had a side question. We can do that in another episode. Thunderbolts, Thor, Indra connection.
Course, do you
So
see
maybe
Greek and Norse mythology and our own Indian Puran and Itihas? Oh my God,
so
they,
that can be a
they're
future
like the
episode.
same. Yes, they are like the same entities who are just written off or thought of in a different cultural
Hmm.
way.
Hmm.
Of
Hmm.
course, there is. But
Yeah.
that is, will that be history, Utkarsh?
What I know is that it helps you understand certain
History.
things. So it's
Okay,
definitely
yeah.
part of understanding. What is the purpose of looking at history? It's helping understand
Okay.
your position better. So we can go down that road. I think it's well
Yeah,
worth at
yeah.
least an
And of
episode.
course, what are the parallels of the Ramayana and the Mahabharata stories in
Mm-hmm.
the Iliad,
Mm.
for
Yeah,
instance?
correct. Yep.
And a parallel between the Ramayana and the Iliad is very, very instructive in terms of bringing out the cultural differences between the Greeks and the Indians. Very
Mm-hmm.
interesting. So, shall we end this
Yep.
episode here?
Yeah. Let's end it here.
Okay. So, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please like, subscribe, share, help us watch. And we're not getting any inputs from any of you. So, tell us what you would like us to show. We
Hmm.
are getting some inputs on some of our old videos. Not all of them are very positive, right, Utkarsh? We are
Apparently, we are
also,
propagandists.
yes. So, well, we welcome bouquets and brickbats, whatever you want.
Yeah, yeah, of
But do,
course. Of course.
yeah, but do tell us what you would like to, what would you like to explore, and we'll do that. So,
Looking forward to hear from you.
yeah, thank you.
Take
Namaskar.
care.